friends, and welcome back to my channel. It has been too long, but I am so happy to get back, and I am excited to show you guys this new tumbler tutorial that was inspired by my son and his girlfriend. So with all that being said, let's jump right in. So to start, I always make sure that I sand and prep my tumbler. So here I'm using my hand sander, but feel free to use paper sandpaper, block sander. Any of that will do fine. You just want to scuff the surface up and take the protective layer of the stainless steel off of the cup. And then I'm going to wipe it down with some 91% alcohol. From there, we're going to head out to the spray paint booth where I'm going to start my ombre. I'm using orange and black. These are her favorite colors. It's spooky season and it's her favorite time of year. So my son wanted me to do a cup that was inspired by her favorite time of year for their 1-year anniversary. So absolutely huge shout out to my son for getting me back and going with making cups. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going back and forth between the two colors until I achieve an ombre that I like. It does not have to be perfect because the glitters that we're going to use are actually going to cover up this area. This is just to provide a base. That way it can fill in any of the blanks in the event that the glitter misses it. Once that's done, we're going to go in. We're going to use Crystalac glitter glue. We're going to use our glitters, which for this one, I am using Black Like My Heart and Dragon's Breath from PDB and Elm St from Peachy Olive Glitters. I'm just going to make sure that we get a nice even coat of glitter. If you guys can hear Brooklyn in the background, she's playing, so she's very excited. But we're going to do a nice even coat of the Crystalac glitter glue, and then we're going to go back and forth between our glitters to create our ombre. I'm going to start with Elm St because it's my chunkiest, and this is going to help establish my orange glitter ombre, and then we're going to go in with Black Like My Heart up at the top rim and cascade that down. Now, to help achieve the ombre, you're going to want to tilt your cup up or down depending upon which direction you're going. That way it just lightly falls into the other color. And you're going to repeat this process until you achieve the ombre that you are looking for. Now, I also did go in, like I said, with Dragon's Breath. Elm St is very, 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 very chunky. So the Dragon's Breath helped fill in any blank spots. I also use it on the bottom because chunky glitter on your butts. Ladies, if you know, you know. It's just, gosh, it's a lot of sanding that has to be done. And this just helps it by using a finer glitter. From there, once I've got the ombre I like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to roll my glitters so that I push down any pokey bits and let that glitter glue dry for about 2 hours. Now, I am going to seal this glitter. Now, usually I use polyurethane. I grab that at Lowe's or Home Depot, but you guys, I had to try this binding potion from the Adhesive Apothecary. I'm sold. This stuff is absolutely insanely incredible. Insanely incredible. I'll make sure that I link it. So if you want to snag some, I'm sorry, I don't have a discount code with them. But I will tell you, it is worth every single penny. It was so great. The glitter didn't move. It was wonderful. I let that dry, and then we're going in with our first coats of epoxy. Now, for the first coat, I am using Alumilite's Fast Set just because my son needed this by a certain date, and I wanted to make sure that I had it all done. But I haven't shown my epoxy process in a really long time, so what I'm doing is I've got a measuring cup. I mark off where on the cup each part's going to go. I always start with the thicker part. So for the Alumilite, that's your part B. And then I go in with the part A. And then I'm going to mix it really, really well. When you're mixing, you're going to want to make sure that it's not cloudy and that you don't see any what's called tracers, or like I call them ribbons. Like you can kind of see in the epoxy where there are lines. And you want to make sure that there aren't any lines or ribbons or tracers or whatever you want to call them. Once you've achieved clear epoxy, you are good to apply. So you can see here, like I'm checking it. I'm trying to show you guys there's no ribbons, no tracers, anything like that. And then from there, I am going to apply a thin coat. Oh, I was showing you guys also how great the binding potion was. No glitter came off on my glove. I'll tell you, I can't achieve that with my polyurethane or my spray sealer. This stuff is incredible. And I only needed one coat for my cup to be smooth. And I used a lot less epoxy. Like I mixed up 30 mLs of epoxy here. I did not use all of that epoxy. And that says something with the chunky glitter that's at the bottom. You guys, it's fantastic. Like I can't say enough good things about this binding potion. I'll see about reaching out to the owners and see if maybe I can get you guys a discount code. But from here, you're just going to want to pour your epoxy on. I personally start at the top and just kind of work my way down. And then once I've got good coverage, I'm going to go in and let it rotate for a little bit. And then I'm going to pop my bubbles with my butane torch. I just do a couple passes and then we're good to go. So like I said, I was not kidding when I told you, okay, hold on. I'm going to go wrap the baby up real quick. Okay, and we're back. Sorry, had to put her down for a nap. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to clean off your top rim with any excess epoxy. I do this using my craft knife, and I do this after every epoxy step. That way it doesn't build up and build up. From there, I'm going to wipe it down with some rubbing alcohol on the inside and top rim to make sure I don't leave any oils from my hands, anything like that. Now, I already had the decals pre-cut from my Cricut. I didn't do a tutorial on that, so if that's something that you want, please drop it in the comments below. But it just says happy 1 year. It's got a heart that I did the offset to, and then, of course, the date that they started their 1 year anniversary took place on. And then I used the print and cut feature to do a picture that my son wanted of the two of them, and I did that on the inside. Now, this was pretty risky because printable vinyl can smudge really easy, but I went ahead, I took a chance. That's why I printed two. And then I sealed everything again with the binding potion. You guys, this stuff is gold. It's so good. And then I'm going to set that aside and let that dry. I'm also going to start establishing my stainless steel rim on this cup. So I'm using my Cami Page Boutique edging tool. And I just use that to trim a even edge through the epoxy glitter layer. And I use my craft knife to remove that layer, which gives me a perfect stainless steel edge. I actually learned this from Danielle from Damn Fancy Creations. She does this on her cups all the time, and it is so much easier than sanding to establish that line. But again, to each their own. You can use that method as well. I just find this much easier, and anytime I don't have to do additional sanding, I'm all for it. And then again, I'm just going to clean that edge up so that it's nice and neat, and wait to move on to our next step, which is epoxying um, the next layer of epoxy to seal in that vinyl layer. So as we move in to what is now our second coat of epoxy, I am using Flynn Sisters Artist Cure. And we're going to do the same process of mixing. I measured out 30 mLs. I did not need 30 mLs of epoxy. I probably could have gotten away with 20. But it's a 30-ounce cup, and habit says do an ml for every ounce. I let that spin a little bit, and then I go in with my butane torch and pop any bubbles that I may or may not see. From here, I am just checking after it's dried, which I let this cure overnight. So it was about 8 hours. But here I'm coming in and I'm just checking for any major lumps or bumps and getting those real good. And then I'm going to give a good final sand to the entire cup. That way I am ready to go in with my final coats of epoxy. Now here I'm just showing you that I'm using a 60 grit sanding block. Anywhere from 60 to 220 is going to be fine. And then you're just going to want to wipe it down with rubbing alcohol. Once you're done with that and you get into your epoxy, make sure you're wearing proper PPE. I got my mask, my gloves, all of that. And then I'm going to start again with my Flynn Sisters Artist Cure. And we're going to mix that up really well. If you've never used Flynn Sisters, they are a thicker viscosity epoxy. So just be mindful of that. It doesn't change anything. It's actually the best epoxy I personally have used. It's right up there with a little extra for me. Those are my two top favorite epoxies. Like those are the ones I want to reach for when I'm doing my cups. We're going to mix that really good. And as you saw in an earlier frame, I showed you this really pretty silvery sparkly. There it is. This is Bulletproof from AB Designs. And this is a epoxy additive. So this isn't going to do anything but add a little sparkle. I asked my son, because the picture of them wasn't going to have any glitter or anything like that, if he wanted to add a little sparkle to it. And he said he did. So that's what we went with. So we did that all over the cup. Again, we let it spin for a few minutes. That way any bubbles would rise to the top. And then we went in with our butane torch and torched those bubbles. And you guys, the glass-like finish with this epoxy is unmatched. And here it is. This is the final result. Look at that shine. Oh my goodness. Flynn Sisters shine is unreal. But this is what the final product looked like. Alexa really, really loved her cup. So that made me so, so happy that I was able to help my son with his gift and be able to add a little something to their anniversary. But with all that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. Also, I have a free Facebook group, so please join me there, and I will see you next time. Bye now.